Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we turn to talking about the recent string of high-profile people getting banned from social media websites. Facebook has been the most flagrant and wild supporter of this kind of censorship lately, and I think many of you may already know why. Facebook is run by Mark Zuckerberg out of Silicon Valley, California, of course, one of the most starkly liberal places in the most radically left-wing state in our nation. This is also the very same place Twitter and its CEO Jack operate as well, so it shouldn't be that surprising that that website is also swinging their ban hammers this week too. We're going to get into more detailed reasons why all of this is happening later as well, but for now, to put it briefly, these California-based social media websites are run by extremist liberals, and of course, they're mostly banning conservative voices they don't like. And well, I hate to say it, but it also seems to be a trend that they like banning Trump supporters, so I guess I better be careful myself too. Regardless, for more details on this, let's start with the story about the Facebook bans from CNN's own Brian Stelter. I'm sure this clown news network hack isn't losing any sleep over these conservatives getting banned, but let's go ahead and see what they have to say about it anyway. The article's called Trump Tweets Support for Far-Right Figures Banned by Facebook. Check this out. Facebook barred 7 users from its services earlier this week, citing its policies against dangerous individuals and organizations. Now President Trump is siding with the people who were banned and railing against social media censorship, all while using one of his favorite social sites. The president shared more than a dozen tweets about the subject on Friday night and Saturday morning, and he conveniently avoided the fact that some of the banned users are extremists who make a living by deceiving their fans. His posts were a rallying cry, full of resentment toward big tech. He said it's getting worse and worse for conservatives on social media, but Facebook executives say this has nothing to do with ideology or political party. It's about safety. We've always banned individuals or organizations that promote or engage in violence and hate, regardless of ideology, a Facebook spokesperson told CNN Business when the bans were put into effect on Thursday. Oh please, Facebook is not making anyone safer anywhere. That's a ruse. People posting text and photographs on Facebook can very rarely, if ever, affect another person's safety. Now, if you found a page posting someone's private information like an address or phone number or social security number, then yes, it might be possible that crazed haters could go after that person. But that's not what's happening here at all. And even if it was, Facebook isn't some kind of police force that should be shielding and saving us from supposed danger. That's really just their cover story. If there really was people endangering others online, I personally think the police and the FBI and other professional law enforcement agencies should be handling this kind of situation. If the police or FBI charge and convict someone of endangering others, then that might be a good time to start banning them. But for Facebook to take it upon themselves to be the judge, jury, and executioner on these supposed online crimes, well, that just makes them sound more fishy and sketchy. And that's not even mentioning the fact that Facebook is doing these bans in private, secretly, behind closed doors, and without even trying to explain it to us why they are doing these bans at all. All we get is some BS excuse like they're promoting violence, but where's the evidence that they're doing that, Facebook? Can we see some actual proof that these banned conservatives did something like that? Because I'm sure not in a place where I'm going to take Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg's word on this. The action affected Nation of Islam leader Luis Farrakhan, who's notorious for using anti-Semitic language, Paul Nealon, an anti-Semite who unsuccessfully ran for Congress in 2016 and 2018, and far-right conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. Jones and his media outlet InfoWars had previously been banned from Facebook, but had maintained a presence on Instagram, which is owned by Facebook. Jones and InfoWars have now been evicted from Instagram as well, although there are questions about how thoroughly the ban is being applied. The other banned individuals are the fringe right-wing personalities Paul Joseph Watson, Milo Yiannopoulos, and Laura Loomer. Okay, let's take a minute to discuss all these people who were banned in detail. The first two are admittedly pretty hard to defend, so I really won't. Luis Farrakhan, for example, is a pretty overt anti-Semite and a crazy person, but I think having him on this list was more of a strategy move than it may appear. Farrakhan was banned here so Facebook could look less biased and overtly anti-conservative. He was just slapped on this list of other conservatives they wanted to ban, like the next one, Paul Nealon, who I admittedly don't know very much about, but upon taking a cursory look at his bio on Wikipedia, it appears many think he's a white supremacist neo-Nazi monster. And if these stances of his are true, I of course won't defend that either. But judging by the way the media calls everyone a white supremacist and a Nazi these days, I certainly have my doubts about this. And I can't help but notice both of these first two guys are supposed anti-Semites. And while Farrakhan is pretty blatantly and undeniably one, Nealon I'm not too sure. I don't know much about him. But perhaps he's one of the many people online who get called anti-Semites for just simply criticizing Jewish people or Israel at all in any way whatsoever. Basically, this term has become just as overused and pointless as the other ones we just went over. And it's also worth noting that Facebook's CEO Mark Zuckerberg is Jewish himself. So I wouldn't be surprised if that bias influenced these bans too. too, just like how his liberal bias influences the banning of conservatives and Trump supporters. Speaking of which, the next 4 people who were banned do deserve to be defended, at least somewhat, because they're not only conservative-leaning folks, but also Trump supporters, and they pretty much did nothing wrong except be a little over-the-top and provocative with their messages and videos. And also, they supported Donald Trump, something which shouldn't be wrong, but as I said before, this is a misdeed according to Facebook and its higher-ups. Alex Jones, for example, is a friend of the president personally. He supported Trump vigorously in 2016, and many would say Jones's internet presence at the time really helped the Don win the hearts and minds of voters. Why else would Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and all these others be trying to ban Alex now? Well, it's because they want Jones silenced and pushed off to the side, well before he makes a difference again in the next election next year in 2020. And then the next 3 on this list were all guilty of this wrong thing too, and they also had ties with Alex Jones as well. Paul Joseph Watson is a recurring anchor on the Alex Jones show, and he's still a part of his InfoWars team as well. Milo Yiannopoulos and Laura Loomer were also both frequent guests and contributors to the Alex Jones media empire, so it's really no surprise Facebook took them all out this week in one foul swoop. Lastly, before we move on, as I mentioned before, I think the public has a right to get full explanations and proof as to why these personalities need to be banned. Facebook claiming they did it for our safety is just bollocks. If that's true, I want to see the posts that actually endangered people, because I think even the worst of these 7 people who were banned, they might not have actually done anything wrong on Facebook. Sure, they have bad ideas and some are crazy and very hate-filled, but speaking your mind on a website never really hurt anyone. And frankly, I don't care if you say or hate anything you want. Until there's an actual crime committed or someone is hurt or injured, we all should be able to speak freely and express ourselves as we please. Especially in America, this is the United States. This is a free country, but according to Facebook, they're trying to take away our freedom of speech. The president is showing particular support for Watson, an InfoWars personality notorious for spreading misinformation. In the past, Watson has peddled conspiracy theories about the unsolved murder of DNC staffer Seth Rich, the September 11th terrorist attacks, and so-called chemtrails. On Friday night, Trump tweeted about Watson's ban, and on Saturday morning, he retweeted a video Watson made criticizing Facebook about it. He also retweeted a bizarre video about Islam from a user named Deep State Exposed, and he called out Twitter on Twitter for blocking actor and right-wing personality James Wood's account. A Twitter spokesman confirmed that Wood's account will be restored if he deletes a flagged tweet that violated the site's rules. Wow, now Twitter is banning James Woods too? What a joke. That guy's a legend, and he never says anything on Twitter that endangers people. So yeah, in case you guys were still on the fence about social media being anti-conservatives and Trump supporters, well, here you go. James Woods was one of us too, and now apparently he's going down. And you really can't get more biased and libtarded than all of this. And then before that, in this section, CNN actually has the balls to call out Paul Joseph Watson for spreading misinformation and conspiracy theories? Really? Not only is none of that true about Paul, but also, more importantly, this is exactly what CNN has been doing for years. And this shit has been proven and shown to be true in the public so everyone could see time and time again. CNN lied about the polls leading up to the 2016 election. They projected Hillary would win in a landslide, trying to help her side. And also, they said Trump could never win. And of course, as we all saw, he obviously did. And then, ever since 2016, CNN and other mainstream media liberal shills, well, they've been pushing their own giant conspiracy theory all the time. The Russia collusion bullshit. And as we saw after the Mueller report finally came out a few weeks ago, there was no Russia collusion with Trump this whole time. That's why no one else was indicted, arrested, or charged with crimes. And this is also why everyone thinks CNN is a joke. For the president and his allies, all of this contributes to a familiar storyline. Republican leaders and right-wing media outlets have been loudly accusing social media giants of bias and censorship, at the same time that the companies have been taking steps to reduce toxic content on their sites. The president has repeatedly cherry-picked examples to make his case against the sites. On Friday night, he claimed that Diamond and Silk, a pro-Trump duo, have been treated so horribly by Facebook and we're looking into it. I'm continuing to monitor the censorship of American citizens on social media platforms, Trump said in a separate tweet. This is the United States of America. We have what's known as freedom of speech. We are monitoring and watching closely. Well put, Mr. President. I actually said about the same thing a little bit earlier, because it's true. These liberal-run social media companies are taking away our freedom of speech here in the US. They're not banning people like Diamond and Silk for our greater good or anything. These ladies in the InfoWars team, they're not endangering anyone, and they're not even spreading misinformation or lies either. All they're doing is being conservatives and supporting Trump on the internet. And that's the real offense here, not these bogus claims that the sites are trying to reduce toxic content, whatever that means. In the end, now that the what and the how are out of the way here, it's really the why of the situation that's the most interesting and telling. Why are social media sites banning conservatives and Trump supporters? Well, it's because we're winning, and they really can't stand it. And to make things everything's even worse for the left-wingers, well, us conservatives are also right about everything pretty much all the time. So when you're a liberal and you're wrong and you're losing, you start to get pretty desperate. And that's what's led to this new wave of just banning us and trying to silence their opposition. They ban us because they can't handle us, and they can't debate or win in the market of ideas either, so they just resort to silencing their opposition and sticking with their echo chamber. Basically, the Democrats can't compete fairly here, so they're cheating again and becoming more radically left-wing and authoritarian in the process. So yeah, and I think George Orwell is turning over in his grave this week because of all this. All the radical left-wing extremism he warned us about in his literary classic 1984, well, that's all becoming real life real quick here in the United States. What do you guys think? Do you think Facebook and Twitter should be able to ban their political opponents? Should they have to provide evidence and proof that their bans are necessary? And what do you think about Democrats going more and more towards the world like what's in 1984? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see y'all next time.